I think you can become your own shiny object.
Yeah, that's fire.
And you can become the thing that is most valuable. And then everything else that comes is bonus.
But we don't understand what happiness really is, and we definitely don't understand how to actually sustain it. And I think that pleasure is what most people think happiness is subconsciously, when in reality, fulfillment is what we're really looking for. And
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was last week's live Q&A from our live podcast episode. How do you really cherish the small wins? Today, what were we going to say? Nothing.
I was going to say, oh yeah.
Today, for episode number 690, do you have shiny object syndrome?
It's a good question.
It's a great question, particularly in this age of social media where, I mean, if you're listening to this, Alan and I are remote because we had to record this episode because for some reason the microphones didn't pick it up. So it's a whole thing. But if you were to look at Alan versus myself, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening, just imagine this. My laptop camera is brutal. Looks like I'm being shot on a potato. Alan's in our custom podcast studio. Mm-hmm. Shiny object syndrome. You would work with Alan because Alan has the results that you want. Like if you watch this video, you'd be like, Alan is way more next level than Kevin. Now I have these biceps, which Alan doesn't, which is fine. It's not a huge deal, but that's shiny object syndrome. If I pull up in a Ferrari, you're going to take me way more seriously than if I pull up in a 2001 Toyota Corolla with a bumper missing. It's a shiny object that people are looking for. And I think it's important to make sure that like you're not only focused on that.
So it's important, yeah, because you can be very duped by that. So this was the frame. So I'm reading a book right now called The Molecule of More. Shout out to Lauren Johnson, who was our last guest. So last Sunday, type in Lauren Johnson if you want to check out that episode. One of my favorites. Second best guest interview of all time. I would say best, but I like Stephen Kotler. Unbelievable. But she recommended The Molecule of More. Great book. And it's been fascinating to understand the brain chemistry. And this is the analogy that was used in the book. Imagine you are on a summer day walking in the park and you look up. And he actually says this in the book. Look up and look for a plane. Okay. Now you see a plane in the sky, soaring through the clouds. It's this aspirational shiny object of like, oh my God, wouldn't that be so nice to travel the world? Wouldn't that be so nice to be able to look down at the earth? Wouldn't that be so nice to be free and on that plane and oh my goodness, aspiration. But at that very same time, there's someone up on that plane, like cramped in this tiny little seat, like probably hating their life a little bit. And for me personally, I genuinely, being on a plane sucks. It just sucks. I don't like it. Never have liked it. I mean, it's fun to take off and it's fun to look out the window, but beyond that, it's pretty miserable. And again, it is what it is. I'm grateful that we all have air travel. But that's kind of a lot like what life is. Emilia and I just got a new home, and it's so nice. And there's tall ceilings, and we've got skylights, and I've got my own office, and I have a huge bathroom right next to it. It's wonderful. But my day-to-day life is still challenging. It's not like the new home made everything better. It actually made my life more challenging in some regards because now I have homeowner duties. And that's all fine, but I just think the glamour, that Facebook photo that everybody takes when they get a new home in front of the home, it's like the 400 likes that you get on that. It's like, it is awesome to have a new home. And Emilia and I didn't even take that photo. We didn't post anything about it, which is a whole nother thing. But getting a new home is a glamorous thing, and it is wonderful. But the stuff that comes with it, like the mortgage, like the maintenance, like the chores, like the furnishing it, like the cleaning it. The bigger your home is, the more cleaning, the more maintenance, the more yard work, all that stuff. For us, it's actually a condo, so we pay the HOA fees, so the yard is luckily taken care of, which is great. But like, it's just interesting, just like podcasting. Kevin and I coming up on 700 episodes, a top 100 global self-improvement podcast. We've been literally heard in over 100 countries. That sounds amazing and it sounds glamorous, and it is, but you're not seeing the 700 episodes, almost 700, that of all the hard struggles. We're re-recording this because the last one got completely jeffed, and we're doing 7 episodes a week, and it's really, really, really challenging to keep up with, especially when the audio quality doesn't work. And so everything in life is kind of like that. You know, we see Oprah Winfrey's life and we say, oh my God, that must be so incredible. But I promise you that she has tough days and that her day-to-day life is still challenging. And I bet you she has injuries, and I bet you she has health challenges, and I bet you she still struggles to go to the gym, and I bet you she still has a ton to deal with. And I think it's important to understand that shiny objects drive us, and there's a lot of brain chemistry around that. But you kind of have to go into it with the understanding that life is going to be challenging, even more so maybe once you get the shiny object. I use this analogy often. It's like once you get into the NFL, let's say it was your dream to get into the NFL. Once you actually achieve your dream and you get that $2 million contract or $10 million contract, whatever it is, your life didn't just get easier. It actually got 10 times harder because the NFL is really challenging. Now you're a professional athlete, and what's expected of you is 10 times more than when you were in college. And everything in life is like that, and I just don't think we understand that inherently until after the fact. And then people like Leonardo DiCaprio are like, guys, it's not as great being famous as you think. And it's like, but yet we spend our whole life thinking it would be great, right? So anyways, that's what this episode's about.
Well, I think it's interesting too. Tara and I had this conversation recently of like, I said, babe, I know it's hard. I know it's hard dating an entrepreneur and like dating somebody who is like just delaying gratification, like on repeat. And I know you see your friends buying houses, and I know you see your friends going to tropical places. I said, I want you to understand, and I know you do because you've been dating me for 2.5 years. Like, you know, that for a lot of, and if you're listening to this, like, I don't want you to take this personally. I want this to be a new awareness. For a lot of people, that is the peak.
That's the end.
That's every time. Like, okay, we're going to go on a trip every year. Like that's the peak of the year, where that's just a shiny object.
Yep.
That's just a shiny object of pleasure. Because that's what a shiny object really is. It's just like a pleasure thing that you get. And I want to tell you that the journey, depending on the size of your journey, will bring you way more shiny objects than you could ever get alone.
Right.
You know, you could go, you've ever seen those like claw machines, you put a quarter in, and you get to pick something up?
Oh yeah.
Like you can go there.
Get me a little minion.
Get you a little minion.
Yeah.
Yeah, get you a little minion. I was thinking like a watch, but a minion's fine too. You can go there and you can get something. Like you can go get a shiny object. You can get one shiny object. You get one shot at getting that thing. But if you miss it, you lose your money. Or you could go chase a dream and get a bunch of those things. Like I'll be able to buy a Rolex in a couple of years.
For sure.
But not because I want a Rolex. I'm not going to get one. I like black watches. Black on black is my thing. Like I'll get but nicer than that though.
Yeah.
No.
What, you don't like the Target watch?
Well, again, sure. Right. It works for me because I don't really care.
Right.
I think it's a tough thing because if you value shiny objects, you're going to approach things differently because you're going to be depending on shiny objects. Like, okay, real talk. The car I had before the car I bought was nicer. Like I had a sports car that went really fast and was really loud, and I absolutely loved it. It crapped the bed. The engine blew. It wasn't the right time for me to go buy a nice, expensive car.
Right.
It just wasn't. But if I was focused on shiny objects, it would have been like, I have to do this to keep my perception up or to feel good about myself. And it's like, look, I think you can become your own shiny object.
Yeah, that's fire.
And you can become the thing that is most valuable. And then everything else that comes is bonus. Alan is in our studio right now. I'm at home because we're doing this remotely. We didn't decide when we started this podcast that we wanted a custom podcast studio. That wasn't what we decided. That is a byproduct of the journey that we're on. It just, we're at level 4 and that's a level 4 purchase. That's all. Right. That's all. If we decided that's what we wanted, we may never have gotten there.
Right.
If that was all you want, you're most likely not going to get 100% of the things you want.
If you shoot and you aim really high, I often say this and I don't know if it lands, but I was on book club recently, and shout out to Megan. Basically, I said, Megan, I mean this with all the respect in the world, but I can tell that you're playing a finite game. And I said, do you have any goals that are unachievable? And she got kind of confused. And in book club, we do a lot of like back and forth. And I said, I don't think a lot of people understand what I'm about to say, but I know you will because your awareness is high enough. I said, I believe that we should all be playing an infinite game and then fit finite games inside of it. I said, so for example, Kevin and I, we want to bring self-improvement, holistic self-improvement to the masses and put self-improvement in the pocket of every human being on the planet every single day, completely free. That's an infinite game. We'll never actually achieve that. We'll never get to the point where every person on the planet is listening to NLU.
Right.
It's not even possible. It's an impossible goal. It's an infinite game. Finite games, this one episode is a finite game. And so I think what happens with shiny object syndrome is that people make the finite game the end goal. And then when they get it, they're not fulfilled. And the reason why is because it was never meant to fulfill you. It was meant. So another example, having a deeply meaningful and fulfilling intimate relationship to the greatest possible level is the infinite game that I'm playing with Emilia. Getting married is a stop along the way. It's part of the journey. So what I'm saying to our listeners is this. What's the infinite game you're playing? What's the mission? And choose one that is unique to you and where the lifestyle that you want is actually a byproduct, aka a side effect of it. Very last example I'll give. James Clear talks about this, Kev. He says, okay, what's the keystone habit? Another way to understand this is what's the keystone habit? He says, when I work out, not only do I get a great workout, but I also end up eating better because I don't want to waste my workout. I end up sleeping better because I'm more tired. I get that amazing post-workout high of focus and productivity. And all these amazing things happen. I feel better about myself. I have more self-esteem, all this stuff from doing just that one thing. He said, never was my goal to sleep better, to eat better, right, and to have higher self-esteem or to, have better productivity and focus. See, all of those happened as a side effect, a byproduct of the one keystone habit, which is going to the gym. Do that, but for your life. And that's what Kevin and I do and did. And that's why the studio, it's a wonderful thing and we enjoy it, but it wasn't like, oh, we're fulfilled now. Fulfillment is an infinite game of growing and contributing to your greatest level. The studio is a vehicle that helps us do that.
A shameless plug too. These guys are the absolute real deal. For anyone who's listening to this, Kevin and Alan are the realest guys. They're going to go so far and they're so early in their journey still because I just know how far they have to go. And everything that they teach, everything that they preach and they're doing is the same exact stuff top of the top guys are doing. They literally have mimicked it to a T. So I absolutely shameless plug for those guys. They have all the greatest intentions to just simply help people grow and want to accomplish their dreams. And so I absolutely just want to say that and let you guys know that you guys are doing an incredible job with everything that you guys are doing for just the community that you guys are building. And, I love to see it, and I can't wait to be able to do more stuff with you guys.
But in this weird way, it's almost like if you have shiny object syndrome, you'll almost never get a shiny object because you're not willing to do the thing long enough. Do you know what I mean?
Or you'll get just that shiny object.
Yeah.
And nothing else. Yeah.
But it's then you'll realize that you're not happy.
Exactly. Which is why this is why, Kev, I'm so, you've heard me talk about this in speeches a lot and on the podcast. This is why I'm so passionate about the happiness framework that we created. Because I think one of the biggest tragedies on this planet is the fact that we all are chasing quote unquote happiness, but we don't understand what happiness really is, and we definitely don't understand how to actually sustain it. And I think that pleasure is what most people think happiness is subconsciously, when in reality, fulfillment is what we're really looking for. And that's why I will say that forever, dude, because I'm on that mission to bring that awareness. Dude, 26 years old after that car accident, I realized that I had a pleasure-centered paradigm. I was partying and having fun. I had a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of fun, Kev, but I wasn't fulfilled.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about this in depth offline, but that's the thing, that shiny object syndrome is fun. Having a nice car is fun. Having a studio is fun. Having a great time at a barbecue is fun. It is not fulfilling. Thinking that it's fulfilling, it's going to fulfill you, you'll spend the rest of your life being disappointed. And that's just neuroscience and the way life is set up.
You need a balance. Like, imagine if you did 80%, that's kind of what it is, right? Like 80% growth and contribution, because how do you get fulfillment? Through growth and contribution.
Right.
And then 20%, like, okay, you want to go away on the weekend? Like, do that. But don't expect that to be the pillar that creates happiness in your life. Like, you're always going to feel like you're waiting for that next hit.
Yep.
You're waiting. And I told Taryn this recently of like, babe, this is what I want to do. And you and Emilia inspired me to do this. I want to book us a trip every quarter. Like, whether it's we'll go to Maine, we'll go to the Keys, we'll go whatever. But for me, I don't expect that to bring me, that's not for me to have pleasure. That's for me to have time with Taryn.
Right.
Like, I actually know that's harder for me. Like, traveling and doing that for me is hard because it's stressful for me. It's not that fun.
Right.
Being with Taryn is fun. Right. But I also understand, like, that's not how
being in a meaningful relationship and making memories with Taryn is fulfilling.
For sure.
And that's what travel is a pain in the ass, but travel is just a necessary part of the process.
Yeah. But I think it's an important distinction of when you guys see the pictures, I want you to know that I'm not posting the pictures because of the shiny object. I'm posting the pictures because of the memory. Like, I don't want you to get FOMO when you see Alan and I on the road, or,
right.
Like my Instagram story views go way up when we're on the road. I know yours do too. Why? Yeah. It's shiny object. Oh, Kevin and Alan are traveling. Like, what are they doing? That's great. But like, that trip sucked. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
but at the same time, it sucked.
Oh, it sucked. Yeah. You went 32 hours without sleep or something? Insane?
But like, it just wasn't pleasurable. There was very little pleasure. That's it.
Genuinely.
Almost zero.
Yeah.
Right. It was us working, growing, and contributing at a higher level, going to the gym and then eating In-N-Out Burger. That was literally our 4-day trip. And it looks fancy on social media, but it's not. It just isn't.
Kev, prior to your suicidal challenge, when you were 26, I actually think that you, like me, fell victim to the shiny object syndrome.
For sure.
And we thought that the beautiful girlfriend and the tons of money and the awesome body was going to do it. And it's awesome because now we have the money and the body and the wonderful relationship, but that was never the goal. The goal was the mission, and all those things were a byproduct of it. But back then, man, you and I were chasing shiny objects.
For sure.
Genuinely. And I was too, and I'm guilty of that. Can you explain to the listeners why that was always going to be a losing game in hindsight from this higher sense of awareness?
It's almost like, it's a good analogy. It's almost like, and this might miss completely, but if I want an ever-flowing stream of water, 2 ways I can do it. 1, I can create my own, so I'll always have water. Or 2, I can try to go find a lake every single day. I think back then I was going to try to find a lake. Like, okay, let me find pleasure. Let me find pleasure. Let me find happiness. Let me find fun. Let me, whatever. Where now it's like that just is the existence of my life because I get to do what I love every day. And the byproducts, and I think this is an important distinction too. Alan and I have been podcasting for 4 years. The first year we made almost no money. The second year we made twice as much, but it was still very little. So yeah, we're 4 years in, and now we do have more money than we did, and the relationship and the body and all that.
We've been doubling every year, basically.
But understand,
it started out very small.
It did, but I was more fulfilled the first year when we were broke than I was when I was making six figures.
I know.
Because
more
it's
fulfilled,
not
but less
fulfilled.
pleasure.
Yes.
Less pleasure. Yeah.
Yes.
Can
and
you
I
go
think
into that?
pleasure is momentary. I think pleasure is a momentary. I don't want to say escape because I do think some pleasure is good. It can't be it can't be the thing that gets you the result. It can be a supplement. Like the best protein and powder in the world is not going to help you get in shape. You have to exercise.
Right.
But protein powder can help.
Right.
It can help.
Fire
it can help. So make sure that you're not relying on that to get you through life, because it won't. Because 99% of the time you're living life. You're not getting the shining object.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like 99% of the time you don't see me on the podcast. I'm doing other shit. I'm just doing other things. Like I told Alan, our cats have ringworm. So I'm like, after this, I'm going to go vacuum the entire house. And then I'm going to wash all of our laundry. And then I'm going to put gloves on and go put on medication on the cats. Like
you're
shiny.
not going to see that. Yeah,
No.
literally.
And I'll probably show it, but like,
yeah.
but most people don't.
Right. But the
Most
pretty
people
pictures
don't.
with the kitties are nice.
Well,
And a lot of people might say, I envy having
Right.
cats, but yet you don't necessarily know what comes with that. And I think it's so critical. I'm not saying not to aim high. I think aiming high is everything. I think wanting shiny things can drive you and motivate you, but I think that it comes with a deep understanding that it's not going to fulfill you.
Don't rely on them.
You know what will fulfill you? Sincere love, deep, meaningful purpose, growth and contribution, physical health, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health, like genuinely that kind of stuff. Actually, generosity. There's actually studies about what actually can fulfill you and what cannot. Believe it or not, acts of kindness are actually fulfilling. Giving away money to a cause you care about is actually fulfilling, even more so than buying nice shit. They've actually proven that scientifically. And by the way, this is biochemistry, dopamine and oxytocin and all that kind of stuff. And we won't get into that. That'll be another episode. But this is really powerful, Kev, because I think that you and I have been learning how to take a little more percentage toward fulfillment and a little less out of the pleasure bucket. And that we still have pleasure sometimes. I mean, I love a good donut and I love, watching a Netflix movie or whatever. But like most of my life is focused on growth and contribution. And a lot of the pleasure stuff is a byproduct and or stuff along the way versus it being the actual goal. If pleasure is the goal, you are in trouble. Life is more than ice cream every Saturday. You know what I mean? And I love ice cream. Don't get me wrong. But if your goal is to eat as much ice cream as possible, you're not going to be fulfilled.
Yeah. Well, you and I talked about this in the parking lot one day. We were leaving. I know we got to go here. I was like, Alan, smoking weed and watching porn is awesome.
Right.
Like, of course I want to.
Right.
Right. But like, that's not the key to the life that I want. Like, I would be lying if I said it wasn't awesome. Of course it is. It's great.
Right.
But it's not good for me. Like
yeah,
it's shiny,
pleasurable, but it's not.
Yeah, it's just shiny. It's shiny object stuff. So understand that, like, if you're only playing for the shiny object, I can guarantee that when you get it, you're gonna be like, why was I playing that game in the first place? Like it's the wrong game.
And then you'll just re-up the ante for a bigger shiny object.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah.
You dig it?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I've been mentioning, Alan and I both have one-on-one coaching spots available. Alan is peak performance business and lifestyle design. I am really leaning into podcast coaching. I have 3 more clients starting in September. You want to grow, scale, monetize, start your podcast, I would love to assist you.
For those of you who don't know, I was on YouTube pointing to our Instagram handles down here, and I was doing all kinds of wavy stuff with my hands.
Wizard.
Also, Next Level Book Club. The 15 invaluable laws of growth. Laws like gravity. Gravity is a law. These are absolute fire laws. We do 1 chapter per week. You do not have to read the book to come and join us. You can keep your camera off and your mic muted and just listen in. I'm telling you, these conversations will change your life. And it's every Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get to the next level of your life in any regard, health, wealth, love, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relationship, reach out to Kevin or myself. There is a way we can help you. Proximity is power. Everyone in this community is getting better every day. And the closer you get to the community, the more you'll get next level.
Next Level Nation, have you ever felt like you and your partner had no idea what you were doing in your relationship and you haven't communicated your expectations? Our next episode was actually inspired by a podcast that Taryn listens to. So I want to give a shout out to, I don't remember the name. I think her name's Jolie Hamilton. But we did an episode on creating your relationship agreement, understanding your expectations, putting them out on paper, and figuring out who's going to do what, when, what are my expectations, what are yours, and how can we connect over those. We love you. We appreciate you. And as always, we don't have fans. We have family. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.